Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in on Expressive Impact. My name is Adam Froggett.
I'm Will Pike, and welcome to our first episode. What we're going to be focusing on in the episode is networking communication, because this really holds a very
Prominent factor, I would say.
in all our lives.
Yeah.
You know, and these skills can help increase your success in your relationships and anything. It's something that needs to be talked about.
And I'm not only going to be bringing in my own personal opinion, nor is Will only going to be bringing in his own personal opinion. We're actually going to bring in the numbers that prove these things, because it is extremely, extremely, extremely important that you know how to talk to each other. Whether it's family, friends, business life, anything, it's critical. It is. You need to understand how people think, and therefore, if you do that, you can respond to them effectively and appropriately to that situation, whatever it may be.
Exactly. So let's start on the first. Instead of networking, let's go with communication first. Communication is important in all facets of our life. It can help increase your own self-confidence. It can help in building relationships and business ventures. And so how do we communicate, I guess, is the question. What is communication?
Well, I think it's a lot more than just text,
Yeah.
as we've seen time and time again.
Yeah.
I mean,
You're missing facial cues, body language, all kinds of other forms of communication that aren't inherent when you send a text message. How many times are we confused?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
it's a big deal too. A lot of people we don't really think about this stuff until somebody else talks about it, but I am going to bring you guys some sobering statistics that I found online a couple days ago when I was doing some research before the show. So check this out. I got my source from Psychology Today, and let me see here. What they say is, sharing thoughts and understanding others are essential skills for function in any society. Because it is. We know that.
Any culture, shape, way, or form, whether you're trading salt or money or making a transaction, you have to know how to communicate.
Exactly. Like when we were cavemen grunting, we would at least do it in a certain way so that others would understand us or whatever it may be, right?
Actually, I just really want to interject because the idea popped in my head. During my English 30 level this year, there was a reading. It came up, and it was really interesting because anthropologically, where language actually comes from is from the play of children. Now, that may be hard for you to understand, but in a more primitive time with a kind of less complex language or understanding, you would look at the parents, and the parents would mope around and they would go, or a small duh, yeah, right? And so because of that, they only spoke very directly about what that was. Fire, water, direct. Whereas children at play, when they were out and they were playing and they're exploring, they're moving with the language. And if you do some research on the anthropological side of where language comes from, you will find that it's there's a lot of evidence showing how it's formed through, because children are free, right? They aren't under the stress, and even language. Language will change whether you're with your friends. You'll communicate differently.
Oh, yeah.
If you're with your friends, or if you're in a job interview,
Or if you're living on a certain side of the world, obviously. Not obviously just because the language itself is different, but again, how they perceive what you're saying is going to be a huge factor in how a message is being put across.
right? So communication isn't in fact just language.
No.
I mean, and like you're saying, culturally, some cultures it's rude if you don't burp after a meal.
Oh yeah, in Japan, and it's funny because in a sense this is a way of communication, right? Think about it. When you're in Japan, if you're at a noodle shop, right? If you slurp, which I hate.
Okay.
It drives me crazy. I
that's
hate
fine.
hearing that sound. But when you slurp like your food, it's actually a sign of I'm enjoying my meal.
Exactly, because, and I can speak also, I have some family that knows some of the Asian culture, and they do have that. They want you to enjoy your meal. It's not this,
Right.
these strict rules and regimes that we have here. Like, I was taught to chew with my mouth closed, so I can completely agree with you. This slurping your food, like, what are you doing? Like, the etiquette isn't there.
Yeah, it drives me crazy.
And again, but that's communication.
yeah.
So if you sit
That's our
there,
culture.
Yeah, but if you sit
Right.
there and you and I are sitting across the table and I'm slurping my meal thinking everyone else is enjoying that, have you communicated to me how you're really feeling about that sound or whatever it is.
Right,
If you don't communicate to me, then how would our relationship go any stronger? And that now you're just going to be resentful and mad and almost angry at the fact that I'm making that sound or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm just eating like I always have.
Right.
So
That's
again,
true. That's very
That's
true.
a very good first point on communication, is that we have to vocalize. We have to explain in depth what we're feeling, what we're going through, or what even knowledge we have around the situation. And I think it would be better to resolve the situation. You explain to me how that bothers you, so then I can understand how it affects you.
Sure.
So then I can then communicate better. Well, I respect being around you, so I'm going to not slurp my food because I get it, and I don't want to bother you by the way I eat.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. No, you're totally right. That's a really good point to bring up, actually. And it's funny too, because a lot of people don't really think about this kind of stuff, right? And it just comes like second nature, right? Probably because maybe where they grew up or what they were taught, whatever, and then you jump into a different side of it, and then sure enough, you're actually irritating the hell out of the person right next to you, right? Bringing it back to the source I was talking about earlier, in psychology today, I have to state my sources, right? Communication, again, it's crucial. We need to talk to each other, and I'm going to tell you why, okay? I brought up some statistics from that website, and listen to this. This is insane. It really is. Difficulty with communication is the number one reason that brings people to couples counseling.
Wow.
The number one reason.
Yeah.
So it's not like, your husband is out at the bar.
So even over half, way past half, 62%.
Did I mention that?
That's what you just said, 62%. That's phenomenal. That brings people to couples counseling.
Right, yeah, sorry. The top 3 reasons why people do not like their jobs is the 62% statistic, so I will move it there for a second. Accounting for 62% of responses were communication related. This comes from thenextweb.com, and they published a survey from about.com stating the top 3 reasons why people do not like their jobs. And again, that is accounting for 62% of the responses were communication related. The number 1 issue was lack of direction from management. Number 2 was poor overall communication. And third, constant change that is not well communicated. 62%, that's a big deal. That's a problem.
Sorry, I confused that stat. I mean, I apologize there. I thought from what we were talking about.
Oh, we clarified it.
No, that's good.
Yeah.
Job loss, relationship loss. The stats are there showing us that communication is key, in whether it's why you don't like your job or why you don't succeed in your careers.
Sure. Yeah. Well, if your boss is asking you, in a sense, without really asking you to provide something more, and you don't understand what they're asking, why are they going to want to bring you up, right? Do these people really care enough to sit you down, most times, and say, listen, this is what I mean when I say this, this, and this? They have better things to do. They're trying to run a business, right? It should be up to you to understand that person, but that's where we fail, right? It's because we don't know what they're asking for. How many relationships have you heard of when you get into, people get into arguments, right? And it's over something so stupid, at least you think it is, but to one person, it means the world, and the other guy or girl is like, oh, okay, well, I didn't think about it that way, right? It's because you don't understand who, your partner, basically. You don't. The number 1 reason people go to couples counseling. That's unbelievable. I think we would have been past this by now, right? I mean, we value relationships seriously in this day and age, right? At least in the Western society, I think we do. Or at least we're trying to. And communication is still the number 1 problem.
And yet we have all these facets of communication where I can video live chat you from Vietnam. So I have the ability to communicate with you on the other side of the world.
Right.
And yet it seems as we have all these more tools to communicate via text message, phones, computers, all that stuff, it's almost as if we're losing communication. We're having problems because we don't understand how to communicate.
Right.
And I think, communication is really, really key in anything. Like where you've talked about relationships, you've talked about your jobs, you've talked about those things, and I kind of want to move communication more towards like a positive aspect. Is like when you start to learn that it's okay to talk, it's okay to express, like, you know, it's okay to communicate with others what you're thinking, what you're valuing, what you're doing, and so it's good for us to practice. You know, if you're maybe you're even struggling with not even scared, anxiety to go speak to someone.
Sure.
And I think maybe that's where some communication problems stem from, is that people, they think so lowly of themselves that they can't, you know, they can't even speak with someone.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, this is a little dark, but I mean, communicate with people, because, you know, it can save lives. I mean,
It can. That's totally true.
And that's a pretty dark concept, but it really can, and that's why communication is key. We should constantly be communicating with each other, because you build a stronger idea. Look at an ant colony, for instance. I mean, look how they're communicating. They're building massive bridgeways and systems and tunnels and everything. So they have to be communicating. If you get in a room and you are asked with doing a task with a group, okay, and you have 5 individuals working together, like an escape room. My family's done it. We do it almost every birthday thing, you know, and it challenges your mind. And where you fail at those rooms is you don't communicate. Maybe, Adam, you found a clue, and I have this other idea in my head about this other puzzle,
Right.
and you didn't share with me that you have this solution.
Yeah.
Then
And that's a critical thing, even though the
communication is key.
Yeah.
To succeed in all those things, and I kind of, you know, let's move into the networking side of it. You don't even have to be relationships. You don't have to be in these, you know, these ideologies
and groups of ideologies. I want to throw that in there.
That, oh, you're talking to people. No, get out of your shell and start talking, because networking is key for success.
It is.
And that comes after communication, because once you really start to get a strong grip on communication, then you can start networking with people, because now you can go out into the world and you can speak with that bar manager, or you can speak with that person and network with them. And networking, the point of that is to
there's 100 points.
find something in another person that will help you, help your business or your idea or what you're pursuing, and they will want to network with you because you offer something to them as well.
Sure, yeah.
Because you both communicate.
It's a trade-off, and it works, because when you understand the way somebody thinks, especially a friend of yours per se, right? And you, like, at first aren't really sure what they're thinking, and when they talk to you, you're not sure if it's necessarily in a condescending tone or this or that. If you start to understand the person you're communicating with better, your communication skills will develop, because you'll understand from their side better, and then you can make an appropriate action from there, right? And an effective action. It's exactly in the workforce, right? Hey, I need you to go and I need you to, I don't know, do this, okay? And let's say this sounds a lot more complicated than it really is. Well, you go and try to do whatever it is you're supposed to do, and you screw up. Well, that's not what I said to you, the boss will tell you. Then you're supposed to say from there, well, what did you mean, right? It shouldn't have to go there, right? I mean, people make mistakes. It's fine, whatever. We do it all the time. But if you understand your boss, you understand what they want.
And he's communicated to you directly
Sure.
what it is that you want.
Exactly. And then from there, you won't run into as many problems, right? And we see this in life all the time, right? Relationships, again. I mean, it's the number one reason that they go to couples counseling is because they don't know how to talk to each other. And that's a big deal, because a relationship doesn't necessarily have to be in a romantic setting. Work relationships, friends, anything, right? Even with your parents, things like that. You know what I mean? And it's something you really need to think about. And if you get out there, okay, and this is my point, this is something I wanted to bring to the audience, was that I truly believe, and I thought about this after I did my research on this topic, it's our responsibility to get out there and to understand as many people as we possibly can, because from there, you're going to start to put together the bigger pictures of the puzzle, and you can see the bigger picture of how some people will work here, some people will work there, what people are thinking here, what people are thinking there, and then everything else in between, right? It's important for us. We need to talk to people, and a big part of that is getting away from your phone. And I know we emphasized on this a lot on the pilot episode, but it's true. I mean, if you send me a text message, okay, I don't know what you're saying. I mean, it could be something basic like, hey, do you want to hang out today? Obviously, I know what you're saying. But if you don't understand the way it's communicated, right, that can cause problems. I've seen it over and over again. And that's just, and you're setting yourself up for it when you're not actually really talking with people face to face.
Oh, you're hiding behind a crystal screen. So instead of actually getting to the root of maybe a conversation that you were having or
Right.
whatever, no, you can look away nervously and then stare at your phone,
Yeah.
making it okay
Yeah.
for you not to end your communication.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you notice that you get along better with people when they instantly understand you?
I don't know very many people that actually do instantly understand me. They
Right.
might agree with me, and I think it's good to a degree. But I guess if someone is constantly agreeing, constantly understanding you, that's not really effective communication, because it's like it can happen again in relationships where, well, you're constantly agreeing with that person.
It doesn't have to be
and-
agreeing.
and you feel like understand. Well, understanding a person could take a lifetime.
Well, it can, but essentially, I mean, for me myself, right? Me and you both think, I would say, somewhat the same, right? We definitely have differences, and
We have to.
Right.
That's what makes us different.
of course.
Yeah.
But because you, for example, understand how seriously I take this webcast and how seriously I am about moving forward with my life, trying to work to getting there, you know what I mean? You can tell I'm somebody who means what they say when it comes down to getting it done, right?
Right.
And because you understood that, as
See,
well as you do,
I understand that the other person understands how to take care of themselves, how to be punctual. And
Right.
that's communicating. Like, we've had to call back and forth, send text back and forth. Okay, how did that video get edited? What about this? Where's it going? You know, what can we do better? We're communicating, and
Mm-hmm. Right.
through that communication,
we work together and
it's
we
going to
build
get
something.
stronger.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, if you're working on a math problem by yourself, or you're working on a math problem with 3 people,
Sure.
I mean, you could be Elon Musk and working on it with 100,000 people, and you're re-landing rockets back on the Earth through communication. But if the whole office didn't do anything,
That's crazy.
right?
Yeah.
If the whole office didn't communicate, well, where would we?
Well, we wouldn't have systems.
Yeah.
And we need them. We
And-
do. We do.
and-
Systems are a part of our evolution, right? It is. And the more systems we have, in essence, the better we are off, right? And language is huge. It
And
is.
that's how I think we'll, get stronger as a society, is by increasing our communication
Yeah.
skills with each other. Start communicating. Now, bringing it back to outside of the communication avenue is networking. And networking, again, like I was saying, it doesn't necessarily have to mean romantic relationships, this, that. Networking is there for you to work with individuals. And there are tons and tons and tons of personal experiences that I've had with that, with communication and networking with people, like traveling. I have met some of the best individuals who can offer me things that would almost be seemingly impossible. I traveled to Australia. I could travel the entire coastline with people that I network with. So we're on that level where we both understand each other because we've communicated enough to get to that understanding.
And build a network.
And then we trust and we build a network.
Right.
So if I'm going to call you out, Glenn Tuwanzi, man, that's awesome. I hope you'll tune in and you're on the show. I gave him a golden bowl. And I said, I hope that eventually one day you can bring that back to me and come to Canada. Let me show you beautiful British Columbia, the Alberta Rockies, and do that.
Right.
And the same, because of that network, because of that communication and that networking, well, the thing is extended. So anytime I have the money to get on a plane and go there, he will, let's go. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let me show you around Australia. Let me show you what I know of my people and what the best spots are and everything. So through communication, into an understanding, into a networking situation.
Right.
And now he's also a musician. So you can network on other avenues of other networking systems. And that's why communication is key. Because if you can't communicate, how are you going to get to network?
That's true.
Where it will create a success in your life.
Yeah. And like, just to be sure, we're not motivational speakers
No.
and, you know, taking the stage saying, you can do this if you put your time to it and your life into it. But I
It's
mean,
communicating.
it is communicating. And on top of that, you can. I mean, we, again, and we mentioned this in the pilot episode, but I wouldn't have been able to do this here with Will unless I talked to the guy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
At
it's
school,
as
you walked
simple as
by
that.
and didn't say hi.
Yeah,
You would be on somewhere else.
exactly. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
And you know, guys, if you think you have something you want to do, right? Just get out there. It's not that difficult, you know. It really isn't. Like, everyone's like, oh well, I'm too shy, I'm too this, I'm too that, or I'm too busy, whatever. It's like, okay, well then I can't help you. You know what I mean? You got to help yourself. At the end of the day, that's the only way you're going to get anything done, is if you choose to do it, right? I can't force you to go talk with people just as much as I can force you to do anything else, right? Like, it can't be that way. And I think the minute that you start to understand how things work a little better in that sense, you become more successful anyways, right? Like, I love doing this again. And the reason why we're doing this is because we both chose to do that, right? We both chose to make that little studio that we have here and come up with these conversations and eventually get to a point where we're impacting people. And I've had friends message me already. You were right there as soon as we finished our pre-show. I had about 3 people message me. That's crazy. I love it. That's awesome.
And it was a positive response.
It is.
Man, thank you. I was just thinking about that the other day and going like, you know, I think back to some of those people and those relationships and those things, and when you think about it, it really is probably from a lack of communication. Right?
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? If you want to reconnect with old friends and stuff and things like that, start with a message. Start with a Facebook message. Start with an email. Start with a text, things like that. And then come over to actually the point where you want to get together and say, hey, let's go for a coffee. Let's do this. Let's do that. You'll be happy you did. I mean, personally, there's nothing that drives me more nuts in the world than sitting there and not really doing anything and hoping to like get together with more people and hang out, but it never happens, right? And there's a lot of value in just being with a friend. There's a lot of value of reconnecting with people and just enjoying your times together, and that's what life is all about, right? I mean, we're not really here that long, guys. Enjoy your time. Get out there. Start talking to people. Do the things you want to do. Build that network. Do something. Have fun. I mean, do it. You don't have to go out and talk to people to enjoy your life. That's not what I'm saying, but it helps, I think. I mean, it helped me. It helped you.
Oh yeah, you get out, you have a chat, you meet someone. You know, so many people I've met where if I didn't take that initial risk or oh no, what's going to happen? I mean, I met so many people just by saying, hey, you know, how's it going? Like, going back to exactly what Adam said. Had he not approached me,
Right.
then this would have not ensued, right? And I think of all the individuals that I've met, if you know, you think that your friends of 20 years are the ones that are there for you, dire there and there. No, you can network with other people. There's other people that bring other things to your life.
Right.
And I think that it's very important that we aren't afraid to communicate.
Which is going to bring me back to the point where if you go out and you start to understand people on a personal level, right, you can make those identities with them and then basically decide whether or not you want to continue that friendship or that work relationship or whatever it may be, right? I mean,
Well, because once you've communicated the boundaries, then it's not hard for you to cut ties with someone. I think so many times, especially for me, I used to put up with so much garbage from people, so much just almost disrespect.
oh yeah,
And I never communicated it. I never, you know, I just put up with it.
So they think
Just
it's
put up
okay.
with it. And then I just, you know, and I allowed that. But then I realized and I understood what I want. And now I communicate it to people. And if you're not on board, well then fine, man.
Yeah.
I'm not cool with you flaking. I'm not doing this. I can't do that because I've communicated to you what I am, who I am. And it's very important then for the other person because now they know. Well, then and don't be afraid to cut ties to people that don't inspire you.
Oh, yeah.
That don't help you and network because that's networking.
Yeah.
Now, well, dude, you're really passionate about this idea. Let me talk to my buddy because he
Yeah.
can set you up with that. And
Yeah.
through those communications, you know, again. But don't be afraid to cut ties with people that bring you down and because that's not communication. That's just berating someone.
Yeah.
And you can be found in those circles where it's all gossip, it's all drama, it's all this. And it's like, well, that's the exact opposite of communicating it. You're almost, what's that where you say something to someone and they don't understand what it means? Like you're almost being sly about your statement.
Oh, you mean like in a sense where you're trying to deliver a message, or where you're not and you're being sarcastic?
Yeah, like you're delivering a message, but it's almost like vindictive. It's almost kind of like, I can't think of the definition, so, moving forward, but,
Being an ass.
it's,
I know what you mean.
I can't remember the term, but, I think that communication can be complicated as well, because people don't want to hurt your feelings, right? So if I said to you, oh, you got a piece of lettuce between your teeth or something like that, right? Oh, you're just making fun of me, you're just doing this. No, I was actually just trying to tell you,
Yeah, people misinterpret that all the time.
and then they're like, oh, they're yeah.
Basic things like that. And again, that's why I say, like, you need to get out there. You have to talk with more people, because you're going to start to understand the world a lot better if you start to understand that not everyone thinks the same. And it's a basic statement, sure, but it's true. It's very true. I mean, I could get along with a friend, who I think understands me perfectly, and then say one thing to piss them off, and I don't know how much of a soft spot that is for the person, or how they may interpret that, and then ruin that whole thing, right?
But it's also on the onus of the other person to communicate to you.
Yeah.
That it was like going back to at the very beginning we were talking about slurping food.
Right.
If I don't tell you
That drives me crazy.
then how am I know? Because none of us are mind readers. Right?
Yeah, that's true. That's another thing. Women, stop it.
Okay, don't go there.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
We all do it on some level.
We do.
Like we expect someone else to know what we're thinking. Well, okay, you're the one not communicating by thinking we should be able to read your mind.
Yeah.
But no, that's really good. I got a question. I got a good question for you. I was thinking about it.
Okay.
And that is, how does anyone know what you want or are looking for if you can't communicate those needs?
They don't.
I think that question
That's a basic answer.
Is the answer to what we were just talking about.
Well, yeah, 100%.
Right?
I mean, it's not rocket science.
You can't expect me to know.
Yeah.
Right?
That's true. You can't. It's especially if it's someone you just meet too.
Yeah.
I hate people like that. I really do. People who think like, oh well, this guy's an idiot because he doesn't understand what I'm saying. It's like, well, maybe you don't know how to talk. You know what I mean?
Maybe you should work on your effective communication skills, and that is a perfect tie into my next point. Is that communication is, again, like we were saying before, it can be your demeanor, it can be your cultural references of how you anthropologically commute between each other.
Even your physical appearance.
But what I wanted to briefly touch on, and I think you guys should do some research on your own into linguistics. Okay, Noam Chomsky is a great example. You can read any of his books to get a little bit more understanding about what linguistics is. And a problem that I had, and I still struggle with, is when I would have conversations with people as I was growing up from teenagehood into adulthood, what would happen is I would get so passionate and so forward about my communication that if you try to get your point in, I'm just getting louder and louder and louder. And oh my God, will that drive people crazy? That's bad communication skills.
Yeah.
And that's something that I suffered from. And someone had shared with me, Will, it's not that what you're saying is wrong. What you're saying is amazing. But for a complete stranger that doesn't know who you are and doesn't know how passionate that you are about your ideas, they could be taken off. Like, whoa, he's yelling at me. He's upset with me. I'm not upset. I'm just totally...
Yeah.
But... So I did some research and I started watching some really interesting videos and reading blogs and things about how linguistics and inflection in your voice has an impact. Because right now, as you're listening to this very statement, I could be getting quieter and quieter and quieter. And I might be actually slowly, subtly drawing you in. As opposed to if my voice was just directly speaking at you. right? See how that in vocal inflection changes the way in which we communicate. And I have worked on that since then, and I think that there are a lot of tools and things that we can learn about to more effectively communicate. Because, I mean, what did you think? I just did a small little skit kind of
That's
play.
awesome.
Do you feel how
100%.
how it
Yeah.
changed in the room?
100%.
How of everything. And I thank people that even helped me learn, that were bold enough to say to me, it's not what you're saying is wrong.
Right.
It's how you
How
are
it's being-
communicating it.
And that's the problem when you have a text message or things like that, email, it's all lost. Unless you're expecting something basic, you're not going to know
Be
the
there
message.
at 7:15. Well, okay, that's just information, but
Yeah, that's information. Exactly. That's point
all it is.
form, whatever. But again, anything personal, there's lots of interpretation lost, right? Be it your even physical appearance will we judge, right? As human beings, it's inherent. We judge people on the way they look. We interpret our own understanding of, let's say, anyone really. We can use any example, right? But we do these things, and we forget that it's in our nature, but we need to kind of start changing it a bit. I think that's how we will progress. You know what I'm
we
saying?
have to. I mean, there are so many problems in the world already, whether it's climate change, whether it's overpopulation, whether it's pollution,
Right.
environmental conditions, chemicals in our foods, blah, blah, blah. Anything that is, there's tons of problems. I mean, there's thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of problems. And I think that we need to communicate that. So it is good to communicate and start talking about. Talking is the first way to communicate.
And when you network with more people too, they may bring in a different understanding of what you may be talking about, and then therefore you learn something new about
you
it.
work together, and it creates a bigger understanding, because now you have 2 understandings, and then 3 understandings, and 4 understandings. And remember, working together, because again, when we communicate, even in our pre-show to get people on the show, we did it. We had like a kind of an energy level back and forth where it was a disagreement.
And there was more to it because they could see us, right? Physically see us.
Yeah. I mean, it was great, but it's good to have that back and forth. But did you start yelling at me? Oh, no, you're wrong. You don't get what I'm saying. No.
And that's why I was saying too, after that, when we were rewatching the video, I love that we actually kind of disagreed on something, but we were still smiling and laughing about it. That's great. Because you're not, I mean...
We're not changing the world. You can't change everyone's view.
But and then you're also not seeing that online.
No, but
you know what I mean?
But you're hearing what the other person is saying, and you're enjoying that difference.
Right.
And that's, again, with effective communication, is that ability to really listen. Because that was something else that, everyone thinks about communication as, oh, well, you speak. I think a very, very misunderstood part of communication is actually listening.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, because if you listen to somebody, you're only going to interpret what you've learned over the years, right? And this person could be totally different, and they think they're saying something to you, and really you're interpreting it as something else, even as far as the opposite. You don't know. And that's why, again, I really, really believe that we need to get out there, and we need to start talking to more people. We need to start understanding life a bit more, right? And people say, right, it's very important that you read. Okay? And I think
very important.
And now it is, but
very, very
but
important.
I think
people need to read more.
People need to read more for sure, but I think it could be more important, depending on how you learn, right, to get out there and to communicate with people, to talk with people, right? And I'm going to give you my example of why, okay? Nonverbal communication is huge, right? And I think the last statistic I had was 90%, I believe, was of your communication is nonverbal. That's huge. That's massive. That's more than what I could ever say, ever, right? It just is. Artwork, pictures, stories, they're all up to us to interpret. And if we know how the individual thinks, right? So we'll say the author of the book or the painter or somebody like that, right? We will understand their idea better. You read a book, you have a totally different idea of what they're actually saying, right?
You have a better perspective.
It was really funny, actually. There was a skit. I can't remember. It was off of a cartoon, but basically this blind guy was at a movie theater, and he was watching the movies, and somebody was with him. He's like, "Oh, well, how did you like the movie?" He's like, "Oh, that was fantastic, right?" And the movie, the comparison basically was like the Titanic to, King Kong, right? And in his head, he saw like spaceships and like all these different things, right? And it was just funny, but it's like, there's so much that we don't see, right? We don't. And if you're trying to have a full-on conversation with somebody and you're limiting these factors, you're not learning anything.
How do you even visually communicate with someone when you're staring at your phone?
Yeah.
So again, the communication is lost. You're staring at your phone. I'm staring at my phone.
Right.
We're not even communicating, even if we're not even talking, because there are those forms of it too.
Yeah.
And like that just what you just said there was phenomenal. That their ability, the artist or the painter or whatever, their ability to express or communicate something about who they are, that really ties in of how you can understand them better. And I think that if we start expressing ourselves more or communicating ourselves more, that frees our expression. So that gets our ideas out there.
Right.
It gets it flowing and speaking. Right? Because we have to get past this, oh, you can't talk to people. You can't, what are they
You
going to
can't
say?
bring a different opinion.
Don't live in fear. Don't live in the sense that like, oh, well, what will they say?
It's true. You know what? That's funny because we live in so much fear of getting to know other people.
Yeah.
Like when I'm out...
Look away.
Right.
Stare at your phone.
Yes.
Don't talk to anybody.
Keep your headphones on so no one talks to you.
What is wrong with you? Like, we're all people. Like, I mean...
We're afraid. That's it.
We're afraid.
It's fear. Fear is dictating our lives. And I didn't really... I mean, I realized it before, but to the big degree that I just kind of saw it at, I mean, that's huge. That's bad. That's really bad.
Step one. That's communication.
It is 100%. That's crazy.
You know?
And when someone's walking fast and they got their headphones up and they're looking straight down at their phone, what's the first thing you think? Clearly, you don't want to talk to this person, or they don't want to talk to you, right? Why? I mean, we need to let go of some fears. It's okay that, we lock eyes in a train station or whatever.
Don't talk to strangers. I mean, you teach your kids that.
That's true, yeah.
You do, because, again, we live in a world where you don't know. I mean,
be safe, obviously.
Right,
yeah,
right.
Be safe.
So because of those fears, then we push further into this bubble of like, don't talk to people.
Wow.
People are bad. And I get it. Like, I mean, if I ever had a child, I would be telling
Right.
them, don't talk to strangers.
Yeah.
Because I've been around the world, and there are some pretty crazy people out there.
Mm-hmm.
And so, if they don't know how to communicate, then obviously I don't want them communicating with other people.
That's
I
true.
have to have them understanding how to communicate.
That's fair. That makes sense, yeah.
And two, with networking and stuff, you have to really also use your communication skills on the other aspect, is truly listening how the other people is communicating to you, because that can give you more of an understanding about who they are.
And that's critical.
What they think. And that's critical, so that you can understand the situation and either get in or get out. And yeah, okay, that they're communicating to me, whoa, they're messed up, I don't want to be around them.
Right.
And that's their communication. And again, that goes back to, but don't be afraid to get rid of people who can't communicate, who constantly stop you, who don't help you achieve those.
Right.
Yeah.
That brings me to my point, actually. And this is an example that I kind of thought of after I was doing some of that research and whatnot. But, okay, for example, right? If you know how to communicate effectively, you go to a job interview and get hired over the other candidate because you told your future boss what they wanted to hear, right? The idea that if we take this, let's say this webcast, okay, let's take this after we're done and we listen to all of it and we decide, okay, you know what, we're gonna go talk with more people, right? So you start doing that and you start realizing a lot more about the people around you, how they think, what they want, yada yada yada, and you can use that to your advantage. Therefore, getting a job over somebody else, right? By telling your boss, your potential boss, what they want to hear, right? It's all psychology. It's in our heads, right? And you brought up something that goes so deep, is when we're kids, we're conditioned to know you don't talk to strangers. Never later on have I been told since that point that like, oh, well, it's okay to talk to strangers now. It's just something that's in us, and we figure it out as we go along. Do you think that limits us as we're younger?
Well,
I mean, I know
it can and it can't. I
Yeah.
understand the conditioning. I understand it all, but I also think that you should one should really have those effective communication skills with their people, with who they're communicating, because it builds stronger communication skills within that set.
Right.
I don't know. I'm kind of losing where I was going with that, but
There's a point here.
going back to like what you just said, the job interview and things like that. That is another communication skill. You don't go in there and be, "What's up, my bitches? How you doing?" Like, woo!
How you doing?
Walk into a job interview and communicate yourself that way, right? You're not getting the job. I'm sorry, you're just not getting the job.
That's funny.
And so, but some people don't know that. Some people think, oh,
It's just okay
they're
to be-
told go
yeah.
in and be yourself and go in. Well, unfortunately,
Sometimes you gotta play the part.
you kind of have to, like, you know, you've learned your mannerisms, even if you're writing a letter or you're writing
yeah.
a personal, like, look at how the font works and the comma and regards or sincerely. It's a way of representing a certain communication.
The idea that you're trying to put across. Yeah,
Is it a
that's up
business
to
letter
the, yeah.
or is it a personal letter?
Yeah.
Is it a, you know, and we have to start learning about these communication skills and start communicating with each other on the fundamental level. I
Yeah.
mean, as the day-to-day life, not like
Well, it makes you a smarter person.
hold the door,
I
say
think
hi to somebody.
Right, yeah.
Get out there and, you know, buy somebody lunch that's in behind the Tim Hortons thing. Just because. You know, just because. Because if you do that, I feel like you will have more success in your life.
I think so too. You know, people recognize people who are giving. You know what I mean? They do. And, you know, it never looks bad on somebody. Unless someone, like, in a big sense, is like a big penny pincher maybe, and is saying, like, oh, well, you're just being stupid, and why would you waste your money on that? And then you're, you know, that kind of opens up the opportunity for you to say, it's not a waste of money if I can make this person happy, even for a day.
Exactly.
It could save their life. You don't know.
We're doing this show right now.
Yeah.
We're not getting paid pennies. We ain't getting to do anything. We're doing it because we have an inspiration.
And we have some good ideas.
And we hope that what we talk about here will stir up your guys' minds out there that are listening, to all the viewers, you know.
Mm-hmm.
We want to show you that there are a lot of different perspectives out there.
There's a lot of plus sides to going
everything.
out. Yeah. Everyone's negative now, you know, like, oh, do I really want to go meet new people and stuff? And I hear that a lot too. I've said it myself too at certain points in my life, but that was kind of different. But for this conversation, I've said, like, oh, well, you know, I don't want to meet new people. I don't care about it. But when really meeting new people has kind of been the best thing for me, right? I love talking to people. I really, really do. But I don't like doing it over text or messenger or whatever. Like, if you want to hang out, that's awesome. Let's do that, because then we can actually really communicate, right? And I can understand different things, or we might go into a topic I've never even thought about, and that fascinates me because I don't know anything of this world. We all only know bits and pieces.
And that's really good. But I also think that when you do finally get out, and we talked about that in the pilot show, that when you do go out and you meet up with dinner, or you go for a walk, and you go, you know, through the river valley or whatever,
With
it may
a friend.
be, or a few friends,
Or a few friends, yeah.
bring
Bring it
bring your focus.
Yeah.
Bring your focus. Put your phone away.
Put your phone down.
Put it
That's
down.
exactly
I didn't come here to send you texts. I came here to be in the experience of right now and in whatever we're doing. Like, I mean, if I'm playing a game of pool with you,
Right.
I'm going to get frustrated when the game is being held up.
Because you're on your
just
phone.
sitting there on your phone. You came out to play a game of pool. You should enjoy the game. Oh, crazy shot. You totally missed it. Get engaged.
Yeah.
Communicate. And I think I just wanted to touch on that. When you do go out and when you do communicate, we have a lot of bad habits these days. We look at our phone, and that's it. It's just a phone.
Yeah, it's
You
a big
don't
part of it.
constantly take your wallet out of your back pocket and look at it,
No, that's
and
true.
then fold it back up and put it in your wallet.
I think
And
that's
about
why people are-
30 seconds later, you take your wallet back out and you look at it,
Yeah.
and then you put it back in your pocket. And you're not even, majority of the time, looking at it for any particular reason.
You're
It
not.
could be a notification from your online Amazon shopping.
Right.
Or it could be a...
Or a stupid notification like, oh, you
or
have
junk
one
mail.
Junk mail, whatever. Yeah, that's
you
true.
have mail. And again, we need to start to kind of get
Was
away
that
from it.
AOL?
use the phone as a networking tool and a communication tool to get to all these things. Like you can podcast, we could be doing it, and we hope to do some mobile events as well, where we can meet you down at Orlac, or we can, get people on it and get out as we move things with the video. But use the phones as the purpose that they are, and that is a tool. It's a tool to communicate. It's a tool to network with people, but don't allow it to consume you by constantly scrolling. Like I'm a hypocrite because I do it. I am always on my phone. I'm always addicted to information and more information about that matters, so that I can communicate better, so that I can more effectively.
But we're not even looking for that most time.
Right? No, we're not.
Not real information.
We're laughing at a stupid video about this and that, and it's drawn our attention away from the actual communication that we came here to sit down and communicate.
Yeah. And I think if you come from that side too, you sort of understand why it's not worth it. You know what I've found lately? And it's funny because like I'm not gaming nearly as much as I'm on my phone, but I feel like video games now to a big degree are a huge waste of time. Like to the point where I can't even like, I don't even know what the word is. Like I can't even really enjoy myself anymore. I'll be sitting on Xbox and whatever, and I'm playing my game, but like I just wish I was doing more. I wish I was doing more, and it sucks. You know what I mean? And it's like, again, I'm trying to get together with people and stuff like that, but I'm too busy, and you're too busy looking at your phone. You're too busy making up bullshit. You know what I mean?
Well, and that's exactly it. I mean, we got to get away from the phones, because that's how we're going to communicate better.
Yeah. And I don't want to emphasize, like, I mean, it's important, it is. I just don't want to emphasize too much on that, because, like, we're not trying to make you do anything. But put your phone...
I get what you mean.
Put your phone down, really, do it. And you know what? Just take a look outside for 10 minutes. Just go for a small walk. It will actually really make you think about certain things. It did for me. A couple days ago, like I was saying, I was on my phone, and I stopped. I was getting so bored. I had nothing to do. I went downstairs, and my sugar levels were high, right? So I'm a type 1 diabetic, for anybody who didn't know, by the way. But anyways, my sugar levels were high. I needed to move around a little bit, get the insulin working to bring my levels down. So I go downstairs. I take a small little walk. I just kind of walk in a circle in my basement for a little bit. And I came up with some conclusions that help me now. And I feel better about it. And now we're here, and it's, it's applying to my life now, and it really, really helped me. And you'll miss out on things like that when you're always on your screen. You will. Take the time. It's more than worth it, guys.
I want to add to that, because I really think that is to be true. Because when you're off your phone, when you stop following the status quo, when you stop doing that, guys, I really want to tell you a very personal story of mine as well. Is I was in Vietnam, and I'm coming back from the market. I'm leaving soon to get back on the plane and come home. And I was out and about and doing things. I wasn't following a group. It was just me by myself exploring and seeing in it. And I looked over and I seen this woman, and she's painting these pictures. And I'm not going to go into detail about that. I mean, if you ever see me, ask me one day. But anyways, short story short, I got this painting made exactly for me. It was free because she was out doing it. And I look over and I see this massive group of people who are standing there, 10, 20 people, completely clueless of what's actually going on around them. They're moving over here, they're staring at their phone over here, they're doing this. And I really want to,
they're staring at their
get
phone.
that home of exactly what Adam's saying is you will miss the beautiful things around you that are all around you because you were too busy focused on something else, because you didn't want to communicate. You just wanted to be in your own little world and whatever. And I think that's the saddest thing, is people are missing out on this beautiful world that we do live in, man. I've communicated with so many people and they do nothing but bring you food and do things and just get out of the fear. Get out of the fear and start communicating, stepping out of that shell. Because that's, I think, the first step for a lot of people.
It is, even for me. I love doing what we're doing.
All these anxieties, I get it. And I understand what anxiety is. I've had it before. But you have to break past that fear, because that's all it is.
That's how you handle it. That's how you accomplish it. Is you take control of it and get over it.
The other weekend, I was PRing, and I was talking to a bar manager, and I had to be on point. You don't think that it was hard for me to communicate there? I was nervous as all get out of hell.
Yeah.
But I was dressed up. I was looking fly. I had to be on point because I had to effectively communicate to him what my
intentions were.
What my intentions were. Exactly.
Yeah.
What am I here for? And if I just showed up and or I'm hammered and I'm just mumbling away and you're not doing anything, well, he's not going to have any time for you.
Yeah,
he's like, well, you can't communicate with me, you can't network with me, you can't.
Clearly, you're not trying. So yeah,
right?
No, I hear you for sure. Fear, man,
But the anxiety
kills.
when I was talking to that bar manager about possibly networking with some individuals and all the rest of it, I was scared. But did that stop me? Did my anxiety or my fear of like, oh, I could never talk to this person?
Yeah.
I called him out
Yeah.
and said, let's talk, let's communicate. Let's work together and find out back and forth what we can do for each other.
Yeah.
Totally business communication, but still communication, which again will help and make me more successful because I'm working and networking with these people.
So you learn more about it as you do it.
And it also made me more confident because I made it through another challenging, anxious, nervous, oh, what if it all fails situation.
Mm-hmm.
But I came through and I did it and I pulled it off and I got it and I've got meetings coming up and, you know, so therefore, I've created more self-confidence in myself. That goes right back to communication, and that's what you're talking about. It's a great topic, man. It's beautiful.
It is. And I really love what you said about how it built up your confidence, because the more people you talk with,
the easier it gets.
The easier it gets. Yeah, there is no more fear in that after a while. I mean, you know what? And maybe I was kind of always not worried about this, like, because I never really was, right? I feel like I could do a public speech pretty well, right? I was a kid and I was on a stage once at this festival in Edmonton here, and I was like performing for a bunch of people I didn't know, right? And it was just this stupid thing. They gave me a kazoo and I had to like, I was a kid, right? I put my arm out certain direction, whatever. But like, you know, afterwards, after I got all the shakes out, I kind of realized, you know, it was fun. It was fun. It was stupid, but it was fun, you know? And even like, you know, going out and talking to one different person, you might not get along with everyone you meet, and that's just a given, right? That's the way it goes. But you don't know where it's going to bring you again, right? And you can make friends. You can make the best friends you'll ever have, right? If you just get out of your box and go do it. Stop being afraid, start being confident, and let's make things happen. Wow.
That's a good show, man.
Thank you very much.
I think we'll settle it there.
Yeah.
It was really good. I mean, we went from, you know, statistics to ideologies to things back and forth, personal experiences.
Yeah.
I think we're almost coming on to the hour. I mean, it's tough to pay attention to anything past, I think, 24 minutes?
We're not, you know what, though? It's fine, whatever. I mean, we don't have to deliver an hour. I'm pretty sure the people that are listening to this right now are probably exhausted.
We got to interject. I mean, if you're still with us at this time of the show, that's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thanks for your support. I hope that, you know, what we've talked about here tonight has helped you. Please leave any comments, like, share with everyone.
Let us know what you think.
Do you think it can impact someone else's life or other shows, other ideas that you think would be a great topic?
Yeah, we'll mention you as well.
Yeah.
You come to us with a topic, we'll mention you. Sorry, I cut you off. Go ahead.
No. And too, if there's anyone that, you know, wants to get on the show and you want to network with us, send us an email at this point just through private messenger on Facebook. We're going to be uploading a Facebook page and stuff so that we can have the Expressive Impact brand, I suppose, as you can put it. But yeah, let us know what we can do better, what we're lacking. Again, we will get the video updated for sure.
One more thing I wanted to add before we take off here is that we have been getting comments about having videos up. I'm not sure if I touched on this yet, but we will be getting videos going. Our pre-shows are taking off rapidly. It's amazing when we're live, but we're not really sure if we're going to go live yet. We still got some things to figure out, but our third episode, I guess this is technically
the next episode. It's our goal.
The next episode is gonna be our goal to have video, so you guys can see the communication you're missing out on, the nonverbal stuff, all of it, right? So, anyways, again, yeah, please leave a comment. Let us know what you think. If you have a topic you want us to talk about, message us and give us a point if you want. We're always open to any kind of discussion, right? Because we both know we don't know everything. We know
don't know
that,
anything,
right?
really.
We know very little,
Yeah.
right? And anyone who says they know everything or they know so much about certain things, maybe it's true, but it kind of, in my opinion, sort of speaks to their character, right? Anyways, so that's it, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you on our next episode. Have a good one. Take it easy, and we're sending out good vibes to all you guys.
Thanks for tuning in, guys.
Take care.